to today's conference, Business is Great. British Success Stories in Bulgaria. Today's conference is co-organized by the British Embassy in Sofia and the British Bulgarian Business Association. It is truly a unique conference. First, it's hybrid, live and online, which is the new normal, I guess. And despite the challenging time we face today, the conference will not focus on COVID and not on Brexit. We are here to celebrate. We are here to share and celebrate the success of British business in Bulgaria. Participants will share their experience, their advice on doing business in Bulgaria, why they choose to set up here, and how they cope with potential issues. Let me present the program for today. We will start with welcome notes. First, we have the honor to have with us His Excellency, British Ambassador, Dr. Rob Dixon. Also, welcome notes from Mrs. Yana Topalova, Deputy Minister of Economy of Bulgaria, and from Ms. Miroslava Alexandrova, Chair of BBBA's Board of Directors. After the welcome notes, we will have presentations. First, about introduction to Bulgaria's investment climate by Ms. Svetla Kostadinova, Executive Director of the Institute for Market Economics. And after that, presentation on British investments in Bulgaria by Mr. Tim Buzere, Director, Department of International Trade, Bulgaria. After the presentations, we will have panel discussions on innovation and CSR and best employment practices, truly essential topics. And at the end, after the presentation, there will be time for Q&A session, and we will close at 5:30. Without further ado, I will now invite His Excellency, Ambassador Dr. Rob Dixon, for his welcome notes. Your Excellency.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. I hope you're all safe and well. And I'm delighted to be sharing this virtual stage with you and with a succession of excellent speakers this afternoon, and what I know is a great audience. I'd particularly like to thank Deputy Minister Topalova for joining us today. It's great to have you to join us. Many thanks in particular to the BBBA for this initiative and for inviting me to open this hybrid event. It's an event which is aimed at sharing and celebrating successful British business and business practices here in Bulgaria. And it's a really timely and clear reminder of the strengths of the UK brand as a whole, the UK offer and capabilities as a trade partner. Before I start, I think like sorely missed. And under his tenure, the BBA developed a really significant trade promotion and support program, which is in many ways exactly what we are doing today. Bilateral trade and investment between Bulgaria and the UK has never been more important or indeed more significant. Trade has grown by 50% over the last 5 years, and the UK has been the 5th largest investor in Bulgaria over the past 10 years. And at a very real human level, we are intertwined as never before. 200,000 or thereabouts Bulgarians live in the UK, and up to 15,000 British citizens now call Bulgaria home. And as I say, never before have our people or our economies been so closely linked. And I'm pleased that this is also a two-way process. And we're really seeing the start of Bulgarian companies beginning to establish a presence in the UK, often in the digital and IT sector, where Bulgaria has strong capability. And that is great to celebrate, as well as the British investment here in Bulgaria. And these investments bring not only economic wealth and jobs, but they also help to sustain those people-to-people links, which are so important. All of this is incredibly positive, and I look forward to working closely with the BBA to sustain these trends, to celebrate the best practice during my term as ambassador here in Bulgaria, as well as to attract more UK investment into Bulgaria and to profile the UK as a destination for more Bulgarian investment as well. And as I know today will demonstrate, UK best practice in CSR, in innovation, in employment practices, make us a really attractive partner. And when people are thinking about where to invest, that is part of the package of what you get with the UK. Although it's not part of the title, it would be remiss of me not to say a few words about the end of the transition period. It's impossible for me not to say so, I think, at the moment. As everyone will recognise, the UK's obviously left the EU. We're looking forward to the future to define a new relationship with our European partners, including Bulgaria. And our Prime Minister set out the UK's approach to the negotiations and our vision for a new relationship between the UK and EU. And that is a relationship with trade at the heart, a relationship of sovereign equals based on friendly trade and friendly relations and free trade. And with a balanced agreement that's in the interests of both sides. While we wait for the outcome of those negotiations, this is, I think, a good moment and a great audience to remind everybody that the transition period for the UK's exit from the EU ends on the 31st of December this year, as if you need me to remind you. But regardless of whether there's any agreement with the EU in respect to the future trade relationship, we will be leaving the single market and the customs union, and trading rules will change. This is going to bring some important changes for people on this call, who are dialing in and watching, and things that they need to do to prepare now. UK border arrangements will change from the 1st of January, and businesses are going to need to check that they understand how the UK border with the EU will work and ensure that the next necessary requirements have been fulfilled in advance. Most businesses use specialist freight forwarding and logistics companies, but now is the time to contact these companies to make sure you have everything in place. Other steps are going to need to be taken as well around product marking, labelling and packaging, and getting additional approvals, certifications or registrations. And you can get all of the latest information on this on gov.uk/EU business. I realise this may all seem a bit complicated or daunting, but please don't hesitate to contact me or my team at the British Embassy, and we will do our level best to help you. But today is all about, as you rightly say, celebrating the great strengths in the trade partnership, strengths which I know will endure beyond the end of the transition period and which we will look to build on as we go forward. Finally, many thanks to the BBBA for putting on this event, using its innovative ways of working to try and pull together this hybrid event, as well as to our colleagues and friends at Deloitte for sponsoring and moderating. Our close working relationship with the BBBA is really important, particularly as we navigate the end of this transition period. And I hope that today is a timely reminder that notwithstanding the changes and challenges that we all currently face, the fundamentals of the UK business model and UK best practices are real drivers for success. I hope this is a good and useful session. I look forward to listening in and do enjoy the rest of the programme. Thank you very much.
Do we have now with us Mrs. Yana Topalova, Deputy Minister of Economy, for welcome notes? Mrs. Topalova.
Well, thank you, and good afternoon from my side. Your Excellency, Mr. Dixon, dear participants and guests. Yes, indeed, the United Kingdom is one of Bulgaria's leading economic partners, and it is very important for us to develop. No need to say that the economies of both countries are going through a difficult period in terms of the coronavirus pandemic situation, as well as the upcoming Brexit. But however, I would like to assure you that Bulgaria is permanently present on the map of the international investment processes. In terms of investments, we report a positive trend to increase the number and the size of the projects implemented in Bulgaria, both at foreign and local companies. This positive development is reflected in the macroeconomic indicators measuring investment while improving the structure of the investment. I'm pleased to say that in 2019, over 30% of the attracted FDI in Bulgaria are from the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is the largest investor in Bulgaria for 2019 with 360.8 million euros, and businesses investing mostly in high value-added industries. A quarter of the foreign IT and PBO companies based in Bulgaria are of British origin. There are currently 5 projects with British participants worth 7.20 million Bulgarian levs certified under the Investment Promotion Act. I hope that we will continue in this trend. The quality of the investments in our both countries defines the quality of our lives and our future. So let me brief you, outline the recent work that we have been doing to encourage investors. Except for the incentives under the investment promotion, the Bulgarian Ministry of Economy is working on new opportunities for investment promotion measures and incentives provided by newly elaborated instruments such as the Recovery and the Resilience Fund, the Green Deal measures, identification of all opportunities to overcome difficulties caused by the current situation, and the full utilization of all available instruments. We have also done amendments to the Investment Promotion Act in order to create conditions for attracting strategic investors in compliance with the European State Aid Map, and some normative changes have been undertaken. One of them being the inclusion of a new financial measure to support projects in the manufacturing industry in the form of grants of up to 37.5 million euros, depending on the size of the investment and the region, and in compliance, of course, with the EU state aid rules. The measure will be applied only to strategic investors, priority investors under the Investment Promotion Act. So when deciding where to expand your business, please consider that Bulgaria offers high level of competence and quality of work and lower costs compared to many other countries. Nearshoring is becoming more popular, and the current pandemic situation shows that there are many advantages of shortening supply chains and investing in countries in close time zone, easier access, predictable business environment with less legal formalities and European countries. We welcome investments in broad range of sectors of our economy, as they provide employment for people with different qualification, but we are focused mainly on sustainable investment projects, high value-added projects, and projects in underdeveloped regions. ICT and outsourcing are among the leading sectors for attracting investment in our country, along with electronics, transport equipment and machinery, chemical industry, food industry, and logistics. These are industries that have great potential for the development of the exports, of the employment, and the regional development of the country. In a dynamic and changing environment, especially in times of pandemic, caused difficulties for business, it is very important to build partnership, increase our efforts, and utilize resources so that we can achieve more through cooperation, which will be beneficial both for the companies and for our two countries. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Tupalova. We're now back in our studio in Sofia Tech Park.
I'm very happy to welcome you today to Business is Great, British Success Stories in Bulgaria event. I would like to express our gratitude to the British Embassy and to Deloitte, which make this event happening. Today the focus is on the British companies, as they make a big difference on the local market. They are a major player on the local scene, but they seem to be very modest and less vocal than other international investors. Therefore, together with the British Embassy, we've decided to give them the floor today. You will hear the inspiring success stories of AstraZeneca, HeliCloud, Cleves, The Body Shop. I'm looking forward to a very useful sharing of their success stories. I would also like to inform you that we are working in BBBA on a publication of success stories, British success stories, and it will contain all those inspiring stories that we are going to hear today and many other successful examples. Thank you very much once again for joining us today for the celebration of British success in Bulgaria. I hope that you will like the event. Enjoy it.
Thank you, Ms. Alexandrova. This closes the welcome notes part, and now we go for the presentations. Now we invite Ms. Svetla Kostadinova from the Institute for Market Economics to share with us her presentations about Introduction to Bulgarian's Investment Climate.
Hello everybody, and thank you for inviting me. Some hand sign or something. Okay. Well, I was invited to present the Bulgaria's investment climate, and it's a little bit pity that celebrating and networking cannot be done in person, but we have to do it online. So what I would like to share with you is just a brief, to give you a brief feeling of what is happening in Bulgaria now and what are the challenges that everyone who is working or considering investing in Bulgaria would face. Just a brief, very clear picture, and I will just ask to go to the next slide, yes. Just a very clear picture of what happens in the European economy at the moment. As you may see, the sharpest decrease of of GDP growth occurred in the second quarter of this year, when many countries imposed lockdowns and many of the economies and trade links were cut off for a specific amount of time. So this is the sharpest decrease since 1995. But also you can see that in the next quarter, which is the third quarter of this year, there was again the sharpest increase observed during these more than 20 years of observation. Of course, the third quarter of 2020 increase cannot compensate what happened a quarter before that, but this just shows that believe it or not, most of the economists in Europe managed to compensate and to react pretty quick when the measures were relaxed, when the lockdowns were relaxed, and actually businesses managed to reopen and to reactivate most of their activities. Of course, there were some sectors, not only in Bulgaria, but in other countries, but mostly in southern countries that rely on tourism in their economy. So for Bulgaria, the tourism share is something like 10% of GDP. So you can imagine that when the tourism industry is affected pretty much, then a large chunk of companies, predominantly small and medium companies, but not only, are affected, and there is still no clear expectations of when the tourist industry can regain and start operating at the usual level of operations. But if we can go to the next slide, you will see that, especially for Bulgaria, now I showed you the European perspective, but when you see Bulgarian perspective, this is even more profound statement that we closely follow the European pattern of growth, and our drop in the second quarter in comparison to the previous quarter of the same year was more than 10% drop of GDP growth, which of course reflects the lockdown. But again, as you see, there is a sharp increase in the next quarter, and what we see is that the business is very flexible, the business is very open. Actually, in Bulgaria, most of the businesses were not closed, similar to other EU countries. In the beginning, businesses were afraid. They didn't know what to do, so to keep working. But there was no legislative ban to continue working, except for some businesses that maintain close contacts with clients. If we go to the next slide, we will see that the forecasts are pretty much similar. Eurozone GDP growth, different forecasts from the IMF, the European central banks expect that this year the growth, the GDP decrease will be more or less compensated by half in the next year. For Bulgaria, the forecasts are a little bit more positive in terms of this year's GDP decrease, and more conservative when we talk about next year. So what we can expect, if you go to the next slide, is and in EU Commission forecasts, they try to predetermine or to estimate when the countries will reach their 2019 level of GDP. What is the forecast for Bulgaria? The forecast for Bulgaria is that in 3 years, in 2022, we will reach our 2019 level of GDP, which means that this year and the next 2 years are pretty much lost in terms of GDP growth. So it decreased a lot, it will increase in next years, but in 2022, we will actually start from where we stopped last year, which means that these 3 years should be committed, and we should focus a lot on changing the business environment, changing the business practices, adjusting to the new reality in terms of digitalization, and working with our partners in a different way, increasing the productivity of the country by making reforms, but also on company level by looking for new opportunities. If you go to the next slide, I just try to summarize some of the things that were done or are planned to be done this and next year by the government, to just brief you on some important measures that were taken this year and that affects the survival rate of companies in some sectors. As you all know, the tourism, healthcare, and other sectors are strongly affected and supported by the budget. There are several support schemes for companies that are blamed to be too late or too complicated, or for selected type of companies, and now they are redesigned and open to more applicants. Of course, we are now in a budget discussion for the next year, and already there are some VAT reduced rates, which is not something that is very usual for Bulgaria, but one of the measures for reduction of the VAT rates for selected services and goods, and this will continue in next years. On the spending side, the government is planning to increase pensions and to give so-called premium for pensioners. Food stamps are planned, and there is this idea for child support for everyone, which we expect to be changed in the current course of the budget debates. What is the overall budget and the government plans? What will be the effect for the government budget? As you may know, Bulgaria is one of the countries with the lower budget debts in EU. The deficit will increase, and it will be increased and financed with public debt, of course. But this again will put us on the positive side in relation to other EU countries. The main focus and main discussions currently in Bulgaria among policymakers and political parties, not so much on businesses, which is a pity, is the government draft plan for this recovery and resilience facility, which is expected to allow for the government, this one and the next one, to invest in sectors and to do reforms that will allow the country to start growing as soon as the healthcare crisis is more or less addressed. So the current discussions, the government proposals are for this plan for recovery and resilience is to invest mainly in infrastructure projects, large infrastructure projects, state railways, energy efficiency, some education programs, and irrigation and other related to agriculture projects, which draft plan of the government is widely criticized at the moment, and I hope that we will see more discussions. So to see actual reforms or investments made in Bulgaria that will facilitate the business environment and will facilitate those that are already investing in the country and those that are considering Bulgaria as an investment destination. On the next slide, I try to summarize some of the positive and negative features of the investment. Of course, this is not an extensive list at all, but it's just more topical that is related to the current discussions. On the positive side, I would say that the plan of the government to open or to organize or to incentivize creation of new industrial zones and provide incentives in terms of building the infrastructure, assisting investors, will facilitate new investors that are looking for opportunities in Bulgaria, and this can actually attract a lot of attention and position Bulgaria on the investment map in the EU. Our nearshoring advantages as a country, they have been here for some time in terms of least expensive labor, low flat corporate and income taxes, quite good quality of internet, even looking on regional level. And the ICT sector that is expanding and going beyond Sofia and other regions, and we can see that there is interest from other investors, not only from the UK, but other countries that are considering Bulgaria as a place to open business in this sector. What is often missed is the world-class universities, especially in some measures, which attracts also foreign investors. I have met many of them that are surprised by the quality of education in some of the universities. And of course, we cannot forget the recent enjoining of the ERM2 mechanism for Bulgaria that positioned us on a new level in terms of overall positive perspective for the next 10 years of the country. Of course, on the negative side, we can see that the reskilling is still happening slow, which is more or less the case in many EU countries, but we cannot afford to be too slow, because this process of redesigning business modeling and companies changing places is something that we have to take advantage of. Still, in Bulgaria, people don't move because of work or lack of work, and this can hamper some of the plans of businesses to relocate outside Sofia or to open another site. That makes it more difficult to find people with skills. So the lower labor mobility, not only geographical, but between profession and sectors, will be something that should, and the government is declaring that will address, including this recovery and resilience mechanism. Judiciary system is always on the list of things to do. It's been always there for the last 20 years. Unfortunately, from the current government, we don't see a strong commitment to change things that actually will give more independence for the system. Even when international or outside observers do confirm our concerns regarding judiciary, still a lot remain to be changed and to be done. The administration is putting some efforts, especially in the last several years, in terms of e-governance. A lot of money was spent by EU with EU financing. It remains still to be done to see some of the qualitative or big bang changes in provision of e-services. And of course, regulatory bodies that should protect competition or consumers' rights, or observe and monitor banking and non-banking sector. These are sometimes bodies that are accused or being under attack for being captured, which is always something to have in mind. Having said all this, I would say that I strongly believe that Bulgaria is a good place to invest, to stay, to come, and to open new companies here. So I would just share you one map that we provide each week. A map of all municipalities in Bulgaria on a different indicator. So you may be surprised that the matriculation exam in English is quite popular among graduates, with 1 out of 5 choosing this exam when graduating. And you would be surprised even that the grades, the average grades of this exam in English are higher than those grades in Bulgarian language and mathematics, which again means that even the children are aware that they should have at least a language to communicate in, and to either study abroad, work online, or work in a company that is owned by a foreign investor. So I was told that I don't have too much time to take into this presentation, so I just picked some aspects to show you that the situation is more or less the same in terms of economic forecasts in Europe, but it's up to us to decide whether to recover for the next 3 or 5 years, or to grow faster than before, and to try to attract as many investors coming from Asia and other continents that will actually realize that Bulgaria is a good place to be. With this, I think that I should finish because there are other interesting speakers.
Sure. Thank you, Svetlana, for the presentation. And we move to the next presentation. What about the British investments in Bulgaria? I invite Tim Buzere, from Director at the Department of International Trade.
Thank you.
Tim.
Thank you very much. Yes, Tim Buzere, Director of Department for International Trade at the British Embassy. I very much like Svetla's point there about using the recovery from COVID as a way to try and stimulate some reforms in the right directions. I'm going to use my short presentation to talk a little bit about trade relations, but also a little bit about what we do as the Department for International Trade to try and support bilateral trade and investment in Bulgaria. My first slide, though, I can't resist going back a little bit in history. I'm not sure how many people are aware that actually Britain has been trading in Bulgaria for centuries. There was a trade fair called Uzunjovo, which is not far from Haskovo, I think. This trade fair was running for centuries during Ottoman times, and I had the pleasure to visit it a couple of years ago, and I discovered that actually there was a very strong British presence at this trade fair back in the 19th century. Statistics from the Office of National Statistics. It's now about £2.4 billion. As the Deputy Minister also mentioned, the UK was the largest investor last year and the 5th largest over the last 10 years. So it's quite a significant contribution here to the Bulgarian economy. And as you will know, there are lots of big British companies and brands here, and some of them will be represented today, like Shell, Glaxo, Astra, and retailers like Laura Ashley as well. What I've also noticed, and this also coincides with the Deputy Minister's points, that we've seen quite a lot of interest recently from the UK in Bulgaria as a destination for offshoring and outsourcing, particularly back office or tech support. Often these are smaller companies, SMEs, IT, digital type companies, and these are companies which, of course, as has already been explained, are looking for Bulgaria for the low cost base and the access to the talent that you can find here. Next, please. So here's a bit more detail on the trade in goods. This is in millions of pounds, as you can see, and the goods trade has grown substantially over the last 7 years, 8 years or so. In fact, if you took the line backwards into history, you would see that that has also been consistent since around the beginning of the millennium. In fact, in the last couple of years, as you can see, the Bulgarian trade to the UK has actually grown faster. It's overtaken the UK trade to Bulgaria. And if we go to the next, you'll see the same for services. This is quite interesting too. You can see not only is the UK service trade to Bulgaria increasing, but Bulgarian service trade to the UK is increasing even faster. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure of the reasons for this, and I hope maybe someone in the room can illuminate it, but I think this is partly to do with companies which are offshoring and outsourcing here, and they are paying their companies, their parent companies back in the UK for the services that they provide. Next, please. Okay, and here's a bit of a breakdown on what's included behind these trade stats. So this shows 2018 UK goods exports to Bulgaria, and you can see that some of the largest categories were things like machinery, industrial equipment, vehicles, which largely means cars, and pharmaceuticals. And we've mentioned already that there are a couple of big pharma players in Bulgaria. And the other way around is Bulgaria to the UK, and some similarities here: pharma products, essential oils, famous rose oil, of course, cosmetics, electrical equipment as well. And then you see things like furniture, bedding, and household goods, which of course will be a source of great pride to the BBBA member Ligna Group, who are one of the biggest players in this area. Okay, next please. Now I'm going to move it in a slightly different direction and talk a little bit about what we do as the Department for International Trade and how we work with the BBBA on our joint mission on trade and investment. So we have 5 areas that we work across, and I'll just explain them quickly. The first is what we call trade promotion, so it's helping UK companies to export to markets around the world, and to Bulgaria in our case. The second is foreign direct investment, so providing promoting the UK as an attractive destination for inward investment. The third is quite important these days with EU exit. It's around trade policy and market access, so it's about making sure that the general business conditions and environment are as favourable as they can be for UK companies and of course other companies to operate here. The fourth is what we call Global Britain. It's about using trade and investment to underpin the broader agenda around what we call prosperity. So it's things like, for example, using the clean growth and the climate change agenda to drive trade and investment. And the fifth is about our people and ensuring that people have the skills and qualities that they need to do the job. Next, please. And we work together as a regional network in Central and Eastern Europe across 10 countries, soon to include North Macedonia, by the way. And we work in sectors where we see the largest opportunity, which are listed there, so campaigns across the region in different sectors. Next. I won't go into this in detail, but as you can imagine, a lot of what we're doing right now is around how we get the best possible recovery out of the COVID dip. And secondly, how we can support companies to transit to the new trading relationship between the UK and Europe. And we're working a lot with the BBBA here to make sure that businesses have the information they need to continue trading. Keep business moving is our slogan. Next. And I won't go into this in detail, but here in Bulgaria, these are the sectors that we focus on, where we see the largest opportunity. So if you're working in these sectors and you think that we can help you in some way, then please get hold of us. And how do you get hold of us? The next slide. Let's skip that one. The next slide, this is who we are. There's me. There are my 3 delightful colleagues. You can see that we all cover different sectors. We're all very happy to help you to develop your business in those sectors, so don't hesitate to contact us. And while of course we see a lot of short-term focus around EU transition, we're sure that businesses are well organized and resilient, and they will solve these problems, and then we'll move forward and we'll have a lot more bright future of business together. And that's me and my contact details, so thank you for your attention, whether you're online or here or wherever you are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Indeed, looks the right direction. Business is growing, which is the reason to celebrate for sure and to share. And with this presentation, we close the presentation part, and we are now on for the panels. First is the innovation and CSR panel. We will need 1 minute to change the moderator and to start the panel, but please stay with us, and in a minute the panel will start. Thank you.
Hello. So we continue with the first panel of our event today. It is about innovation and corporate social responsibility. Now, when you think about innovation, you usually consider, let's say, strategic implementation of a new technology, or sometimes reinventing your business model. Whereas corporate social responsibility is a totally different concept. It presumes that in the ordinary course of business, a company operates in such a way that it benefits and enhances the society and the environment. Today, both concepts are very different. They have something in common. They are crucial for the success of a business. And today we have representatives of 4 British businesses who can share their success stories. We have Zoya Paunova, Executive Director from AstraZeneca. We have Maria Petkova, representative of The Body Shop. We have Paul Mccarthy, Chief Corporate Development Officer of HeleCloud. And last but not least, we have Alexander Arabajian, External Relations Advisor of Shell. I'm sure that you're going to find the stories pretty interesting. So without further ado, I'm giving the floor to Ms. Zoya Paunova, Executive Director, AstraZeneca.
Indeed, Your Excellency, dear colleagues, friends, it's a pleasure to be part of this meaningful discussion. And thank you to our team, to Svetla, for already make a very nice introduction to the foreign investments in the face of the British pharmaceutical companies. So AstraZeneca, it is well known. It is world-leading company specialized in creating medicines through innovative science. The map is fairly small of the world, but you can see that one of the strategic priority it is to achieve scientific leadership, and this is the reason we place our scientists close to the globally recognized bioscience clusters, as Gettysburg, in connections with Johns Hopkins University, Göteborg, close to Karolinski Institute, and Cambridge. It's speaking by itself. May I have the next slide, please? In Bulgaria, AstraZeneca is having 50 years of history, 5 decades of history. So UK have been quite prominent in realizing the potential of Bulgaria as a potential investment destination fairly well in the history. So what we are proud mainly here, that our team of 135 employees, it is reaching out and transforming the life of close to 400,000 patients. The last 5 years, the investments, it's reaching 130 million leva. And please note that half of it is invested in research and development. And if we have a next slide, please. This year, in the year 2020, we celebrate 20 years anniversary since AstraZeneca has been the first bioscience company opening and identifying the potential of our country to inaugurate the first research, clinical research department on 15th of August in year 2000. So our colleague from research department, they designed this nice roadmap of success. And it's visible that for 20 years, we constituted with the participation of 1,000 highly qualified Bulgarian physicians in the role of investigators, 120 clinical trials with participation of 13,000 patients. So we consider this as a great success, because on the next slides you will see it, the prospect of this 20 years journey, given the data only for the last decade, how AstraZeneca heavily contributed to the healthy and dynamic growth trend. And if Bulgaria has not been at all on the European map 20 years ago, today Bulgaria, it is ranked globally on the 20th place in terms of attracting clinical research work. AstraZeneca is amongst the top 2-3 companies in that respect, contributed with the highest market share. And most importantly, you can see it that on annual base, the investments in the Bulgarian economy are reaching out above $300 million US, quite a good and substantial contribution to the economy growth. And benefits of having this department and follow up by our peers in the pharmaceutical industry, definitely it is quite a good contribution to the authority and to the state budget, saving to the National Health Insurance Fund public funds, especially for the drug expenditure budget. In the same time, we allocated fairly well in advance the innovative treatments and modern efficacy treatments to Bulgarian patients, while providing professional development for the researchers. So with that, I will stop here just to manage within my given three minutes talk. Thank you so much.
Indeed, rather interesting and very impressive, considering all the way that you have achieved and the success story of AstraZeneca. So moving forward, I'm going to give the floor to Maria Petkova, who is going to tell us a bit about the Body Shop and its success story in Bulgaria. Maria, are you online? Are you on mute?
No, I'm not.
Okay, thank you. You're here. All right.
Yeah,
okay, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Your Excellency and dear colleagues, as we are invited to speak about innovation and corporate social responsibility in today's meeting, let me start by congratulating the organizers of this meeting, because I see no better moment to speak about innovation as we're meeting in this quite new hybrid format of a meeting. But also, let's make this clear that corporate social responsibility is truly important at the moment across the continent and even across the globe. I'm going to speak for a company that was started like 45 years ago as a very small company in the south of England. And for these years, it has been, the history of the company sounds a bit like a fairy tale, because at the moment, could you go to the first slide? Thank you. Because for those years, it has grown to more than 3,000 stores in 78 countries. But also to make the link with corporate social responsibility, the company was actually started by a female, Anita Roddick, with a clear purpose: to make the world more beautiful and more fair. And it sounds like CSR, even before the contemporary definition of CSR was not written, was not invented. So that's the purpose of the company. And even years later, it is our belief, the teams across the countries, that business can be a force for good, and not just can, but should be a force for good. We also believe that everyone is beautiful, and women and girls have a special role, and they have to have all the rights and all the opportunities to grow and develop in the 21st century. And I'll tell you more about the company and its story in Bulgaria on the next slide. It is a Bulgarian company that is the franchise partner of the Body Shop, Bulgaria and Kosovo. And actually, Body Shop is almost a newcomer to Bulgaria, because we opened the first store like a bit more than 2.5 years ago. And in these 2 years, there are 4 physical stores in Sofia and Bulgaria, and there's an online store. And of course, there are plans for the future and for other places in the country and around. Also because earlier this year, just last month, the first Body Shop store was open in Kosovo. And on the last slide, I'm going to talk to you about something that is very special to us. B Corp is an independent non-profit that has been created with a clear vision to champion businesses who are a force for good, but not businesses that claim or that want to be the champions. B Corp uses very strict, verified standards for social and environmental performance, transparency, and accountability of the company that is being certified. And if you want to become a B Corp, there's, as I said, a strict procedure. So the company goes through an assessment. An assessment involves various parts, various directions of the performance of the company. And these include governance, workers, customers, community, and of course the environment. And the assessment is based on a set of credible, independent, and verifiable standards of social and environmental performance. Body Shop Bulgaria is currently planning to apply for a B Corp certification, among other plans for our future. And this is part of our belief that these 3 things that we speak about, people, planet, and profit, should always go together. Thank you for your attention.
Force for good. And this was also a very interesting presentation about CSR. Moving forward, now we are going to share a story about a company which is unique in a way because it was created in 2016 in both places, in 2 countries actually simultaneously, in Bulgaria and in the UK. So it's my pleasure to give the word to Mr. Paul Mccarthy, who is going to share with us the success story of HeliCloud.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much to the BBVA for organising this event. I know it's extremely challenging putting these types of events together in the current climate, so well done for that. Good afternoon to Your Excellency, Dr. Dixon, ministers, and all the other speakers and guests. So I'm Paul McCarthy. I'm a founder of HeliCloud. I was one of the original investors in the business back in 2016, together with 3 other executives, all of which worked together at HP back in the day. We're a business that is based in Sofia, but also based in London and in Amsterdam. So if I can move on to the next slide, I'll tell you a little bit about what we do as a business. So the background really to setting up the company in 2016 was the idea of myself and Dob Tovarov. Dob is the CEO of HeliCloud. He's originally from Bulgaria, but has lived in the UK for about 15 years. I actually met him outside of business originally, and he worked at AWS, Amazon Web Services. And he was one of the first employees in AWS in Europe. So he was actually employee number 5 when Amazon Web Services literally worked above a shop just down the road in sunny Slough. And while he was at AWS, he felt that there was an opportunity for a partner to help AWS and their customers implement services for large enterprises. AWS, as everybody I'm sure knows, Amazon Web Services is the leading cloud service provider in the world. They're about 4 times bigger than the other players put together. and they're growing at a massive rate. But it is entirely a self-service platform. So you go on to the AWS portal and you can set up your infrastructure environment, and that's okay if you're a startup business, so you're small and the infrastructure is not critical. But for most enterprises, if you're running the payroll at Body Shop, for example, you want to make sure that that works and everybody gets paid at the end of the month. So customers need help to move to the cloud. AWS don't offer that service. And also security is a key factor as well. So we decided to start the business in 2016, laser focused on just AWS. We don't do anything else. We don't do Azure. We don't do Google. And we decided, partly because of Dob's background, but also Stefan Bomov, who's one of the investors and directors of the business based in Sofia, with very strong connections to the BBVA. He was instrumental in helping us set up the business in Sofia, originally in the Innovation Technology Park as an incubator, and more recently we've moved to new offices in Sofia, quite close to the airport. So if I could just move on to the next slide. We are now a premier partner with AWS. We're actually the leading AWS only partner in Europe. We've got about 120 people in the business, 125 people. One of the things that Dob asked me to say today is we've got lots of open roles as well. If you know people, we've got about 20 open jobs. Through 2020, we're very proud of the team having grown the business at 50% this year, profitably grown the business by 50. And we've now got 100 referenceable clients, ranging from many of the larger SMEs and small enterprise clients. The main things that we do are technical consulting, engineering, and managed services. So we help customers set up their environments in the cloud. But once they're there, like all IT, it's got to be looked after and run and managed. And we do that for them in Sofia with 22 dedicated people that run a 24/7, 365 help desk and support platform. And then finally, I guess in terms of the introduction of the business, we acquired Olin Data in the Netherlands last year. So they're another AWS partner. We bought that business out, and that gives us a base in Benelux. And earlier this year, my role in the business is leading the M&A. So we acquired Datastalk, which is actually another Bulgarian business that helps transform customers' applications to work natively in the cloud. And that's a really fast growing part of our business. Next slide, please. One of the big things about the business is really culture. We're in Sofia for a number of reasons. It's not just the cost arbitrage. There is some benefits there, but actually not huge for the type of technology that we deal with. But we're there because we've got great access there to highly skilled and multilingual, in many cases, engineering and consulting staff. And we're able to scale our business more rapidly by having those staff and being able to recruit locally in the region. And I think the final thing is that the culture that we've created, particularly if people want to come and work with our business, we've got a whole program around delivery, leading, learning, and belonging, making sure that we've got happy staff that want to stay with the business and develop with the business. And COVID, the pandemic in particular, has led many businesses to decide to not run their own data centers, to move their IT to the cloud. And we're positioned very strongly to be able to help them do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. This is indeed very interesting. I mean, I have been working all my life in taxes, but maybe I should consider switching to something more digital, which is, I think, it's a very innovative way to do business. Okay, and last but not least, I'm going to give the floor to Alexander from Shell, who is going to present a very good CSR initiative, and then we are going to open the floor for questions.
Thank you. So, first of all, good afternoon, Your Excellency, Deputy Minister of Economy. As you said, my name is Alexander Erbagian. I'm External Relations Advisor in Shell, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to share our latest experience in corporate social responsibility. And this is coming just on time because we just completed our biggest ever social investment project in Bulgaria as Shell. And this is the establishment of the Science and Energy Center Planetum in Burgas. So it opened 20 days ago on 30th of October. And it is, you can see on the left side, this beautiful building. It is situated in the marine terminal, passengers marine terminal in renovated port area in Burgas. This is our flagship in STEM. And if you're not familiar with the abbreviation, STEM stands for Science, Technology, Energy, and Maths. And STEM, in fact, is one of, no, we can stay still on the previous slide. Thank you. So STEM is one of our three global themes when we talk about social investment in Shell. The other two are access to energy and local employment and enterprise. And I think here it's important to say that this project itself is part of other social investment program that we have in Bulgaria as a part of our exploration license for searching for oil and gas in Black Sea. And altogether, in the last several years, around 3, we have 8 social investment projects in that program, 2 of them in Sofia University and Manik and George University in Sofia, and another 6 in Black Sea coastal towns, starting from Nesebar, then we go to Pomorie, Burgas, I'm just mentioning now, Suzopol, Primorsko, and Tsarevo. And when I say STEM and why we are talking about STEM, why we invest in STEM, actually STEM, we are passionate about science engineering in general in Shell. And most of you, you're aware that we're living in times that from one side, energy demand is growing. From the other side, we need to find solutions how to minimize the carbon emissions. And actually investing in science and engineering will give us affordable solutions for this one. So this is one of the main reasons that we are actually investing in STEM. Altogether, these 8 projects that I was mentioning before, the total fund is 1 million euro. And pretty much this STEM and also education in general is, let's say, corresponding to the National Development Program Bulgaria 2030, where there is a priority for education in general. So if you may go to the next slide. And coming back to Planetum, the main topic of this presentation. So the main aim of Planetum is to attract young people and the general public in STEM to inspire and improve student skills in engineering sciences. If you go there, you'll see 20 educational interactive installations, and they're across 3 different zones: energy, discovery, and innovation. The installations in energy zone are providing insight how energy is generated from renewable sources, for example. And there are also exhibits linked to the life-changing discoveries made in the last 2 or 3 centuries that change our life. Also, there are exhibits linked to the environment in Burgas. There is a unique land and marine environment that it is showcased there. In addition, there is a STEM workshop zone where different groups, even from schools, they can take part of different scientific experiments. And on top, Burgas municipality is currently constructing and adding a very attractive planetarium, which will open next year. And this is from where the name Planetum is coming. So if you can go to the next slide, please. Yes, you can see some images with people already inside. So the project was executed jointly with the municipality of Burgas, the state company Port Infrastructure, who is the operator, and they provided the building which is hosting Planetum. As I said, this beautiful building of marine passengers terminal in Burgas port area. We are also thankful to the Burgas municipality, mayor himself, and also Muzeico, who were our partner for delivering this project, for their enthusiasm, that they welcomed the idea, put their energy for making it happen. Our contribution as a show is mainly with developing the whole idea. So we propose what to do, the design of the concept, and the content itself of Planetum, purchasing 15 out of these 20 total exhibits that are possible to be seen. And as I said, it opened 20 days ago. Yesterday, I just called to the director of the Planetum just to check how it is going, and she told me that it is having a great interest. A lot of people are going there, and mainly on weekends. Of course, saying that everything is going under strict COVID prevention measures. And what I would like also to say for the end is that we believe that this center, Planetum, will very soon become a landmark in Burgas, a famous hotspot, let's say it in that way. And we believe that it will inspire many students to become future scientists in Burgas and in Bulgaria. Why not? And why not, if you have time and if you're around Burgas, please go and visit it. Take your family with you or friends. We will be thankful to hear your feedback. So thank you for this time, and talk to you again.
It's very interesting, and I remember, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, the Eco Marathon, it was one of the also initiative of Shell under the STEM program. And your project is actually touching not only CSR but also innovation, because this is something very interactive, a way to teach children, so it's really thumbs up for this. Now, you are going to open the floor for the questions. I have been making some notes, and we had something that came through the chat. So it's going to be a little bit mixed. So I'm going to start with Zoya. And my question to her is, Zoya, you said that 20 years ago, Bulgaria was not even on the map. How did you manage to convince AstraZeneca to open the clinical department here?
Okay, well, thanks for the very good question. Well, Bulgaria was not at that time considered and perceived as an investment destination. That's absolutely right. However, although relatively small family size team at that time, we sit together and make a very solid, very robust investment case and send it to London, to our headquarters, explaining why Bulgaria needs to be, and AstraZeneca needs to be the first bioscience company to open a research department in our country, while stating first a couple of important reasons that we have a strong scientific society of well-educated and experienced, highly qualified physicians. Definitely a talented labor force, multilingual young people. And we proved that over the next couple of decades. Numbers of other reasons related to the market access, because once we open the door of clinical research department in our country, this definitely will provide much better opportunity to negotiate and interact with the health authorities to be able to open the market access doors for innovative drug decisions and treatment regimen. And that has been the case because over the last 10 years, we launched 20 new medicines on Bulgarian market with the speed as they have been launched across Europe. And that's the most important piece, because if we go back 20, even more, 30 years time, some of the drugs have been coming with 7, 8 to 10 years delay in comparison when they are available for the British patients, for an example.
I suppose it's also an interesting part of your story.
Yes, I alluded to that. Since now we have a quite good electronic workday system, all of our HR data is there, and we could take out numbers of different reports. And I was very pleased about a couple of years ago when the first report came through that Bulgaria stand out across Europe and Canada. That's the structure we belong with, close to 30, more than 30 countries included, in terms of highest proportion of young people below 30. So we constitute a powerful, smart millennial club in Bulgaria, bringing a lot of ideas, and that's not coming by chance. We roll out since year 2000 numbers of very good initiatives and campaign, partnering with the universities, open door initiatives, scholarships, summer internship. With British and Swedish Embassy, we have been extremely active, and I'm grateful to all of the ambassadors. And Dr. Dixon, even right from his arrival in Bulgaria, he declared readiness for all these sustainable and good campaign and project and initiatives they to continue in the future. Mini Nobel Prize have been given to young people in the universities. So numbers of initiatives, and this has been, this facilitate definitely the opportunity we to pick up and to attract some young talented people who graduated abroad. The most recent example, it was now in the digital era and digitally appointed as a new employee, a young talented person, a Bulgarian who graduated pharmacy in Vienna. Straight from taking his diploma, he became employee of AstraZeneca Bulgaria. So this is just, you know, some small part of what we have been doing in an extremely successful way to be able to come where we are today.
Well, what can I say? Bravo. I can only say this. And because we're talking about digital and about talent, I'm going to move on now to Paul, because you also said that you met quite a huge talent pool here in Bulgaria, Paul, and maybe this was one of the prerequisites for expanding your business. But since Zoya told us about the digital hiring, maybe you can elaborate about your cloud services and how, especially in our pandemic times, this helps businesses as a way of innovation to move all of their basically data infrastructure on the cloud instead of on a physical, let's say, server.
Absolutely, that's a great question, and thank you for that. I think there's probably two elements at it. So I look at it from a team structure. Our business is completely dependent on people. We're a people business. We don't have a product to sell as such. We're all about really the knowledge and the quality of the people in the business. So what's really happened over the last 4 years is that there are a lot of people, technical people, that are in Bulgaria that are interested in learning about the cloud and developing their skills. So AWS themselves are not yet directly in Sofia, in Bulgaria. So if people want to work with AWS, HeleCloud has really become the company to go to learn about AWS and get involved in some really exciting, really kind of leading projects. Having said that, there are a number of IT companies in Sofia, as you know, and there is a lot of competition for the really top talent. So we have to do a couple of things. We have to work with the universities. We help universities by giving them access to the AWS platform, by lecturing and coaching students on how to use that platform, and then encourage them to come and join us after they graduate. We also have to make sure that the culture that we have inside HeliCloud is better. We're smaller than a lot of the other players that are there, like VMware, like Oracle, like Microsoft, etc. So we have to make sure that when people come and work with us, that the environment that they're working in is good, that they learn, that they have time to train, that they gain accreditations, that they work on interesting projects, that there's a team spirit, which is more difficult to develop. Of course, now people aren't in the office so much, but creating that culture is absolutely key. And then looking at it from the second area, looking at it from a customer perspective, that the challenge always was with IT and IT infrastructure. It was extremely expensive to go out and buy servers and storage and software and everything you need, particularly for enterprise customers. And that really led to a number of problems, not just the cost and running all that environment, but it meant that they couldn't innovate, because if you wanted to try something out, you'd have to go to IBM or HP and buy your servers, and you used to have to set them up and try out the idea. And if it didn't work, if it wasn't successful, you'd probably be fired for spending all that money without a successful project. But what the cloud allows you to do is very quickly just create that environment, try out something new, see if it works for the business. And then if it works, you can scale it up. If it isn't the right thing, you can switch it off, and it's not cost very much. So it leads to a culture of innovation. A lot of people are using the cloud at the moment for new projects, actually. But over time, they're realizing that it is very sensible to be able to use IT as you need it and pay for it like you would electricity, pay for it as a utility when you need it, and switch it off when you don't. And so a lot of our newer projects now as well are helping clients move their enterprise environments to the cloud, but also once they're there, making sure that they're running them efficiently, because it's very easy to move to the cloud and find out you're spending more on cloud than you did before. So you've got to make sure it's set up correctly, and that's really what our managed services do. So they're the two elements really, from a customer perspective and also from a staff and teams perspective.
We should really talk about cloud a little bit more, you and I. But because all of these young, bright people who work for you and for Zoya and for everybody are also very socially responsible, and they want to know that the company they work for also take care about society and community. Maria, perhaps you can share with us a bit about the more of CSR in general for the evolution of the business, or how the Body Shop franchise partner is preparing for the Big Ops certification in Bulgaria, because this is important for a lot of the young people who are starting their career path now, to work for a socially responsible company.
Thank you for this question. I'm quite happy to share with you. As I mentioned earlier, the CSR is in the very DNA of the company. I cannot switch on my camera. It's up to you. So the CSR has always been important for the group of the company. Let me try. Oh, there. So I was saying that the CSR is part of the DNA of the company. And it's not just because the team and the management are very keen about this, but because we're very aware that it's something that is important for the customers. The certification process that I mentioned earlier is actually done by a non-profit called BLAP. And it's not just an evaluation, a simple evaluation of a product or of a service. It is actually quite a holistic assessment of the functioning of the company that is behind the product and the process, and involves the workers, the customers, the community, and the overall impact on the environment that the company has. And it is important for everyone, because in our daily life, we could go to an office and work for a company, but in our entire life, we're part of we spend time with other people, we care for people, we care for the nature, we care for our families. So these are all linked. And what is important for us is also important for our customers. And these are basic things like non-animal testing, 100% natural products. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, we're planning to go through this certification. That will most probably happen next year. And we're currently preparing, but it's a complicated process because it evaluates in parallel the verified performance of the company, the legal accountability of the company, and the public transparency. So these three, should go in line. And each of those actually requires quite a lot of effort and a review quite in depth of every single element of the functioning of the company and the staff and the services and the high management, and also some of the legal documents of the company. But as you know, when there are challenges, the best thing in life is that, but when there's a challenge, there's also a friend, a colleague, partners that you could ask for some help and some support. And yes, we're quite lucky in this case because we have our partners from the UK who already got the certification. So we can expect support and advice from our partners in the UK and also other partners in Europe who are currently planning to start the same certification.
It's all for a very good cause, so it's something which is worth appreciation, and it's great. But talking about CSR, Alexander's project had something that was not mentioned maybe, or it depends on the scale of the initiative. You had to work with external stakeholders, and your project was a success. At least I consider it as a success for sure. But can you tell me a bit more about the dynamics of working with these external stakeholders? What it was like to work with the municipality, with the Port Burgas? Can you share a bit?
Thank you. I can be very short.
Okay.
Idea. Dynamic is also very, I would say, very short as well, right? So working with municipality is great, Burgas municipality, in that specific, because after they embrace the idea, as I said before, they're even building on top of it. And they actually shared from their own funds. They involved also state company of port infrastructure with the building. And as I said, they're adding a planetarium, which is totally on their costs outside of our fund. So yeah, I think it's key to have a good idea, to have a good engagement, and I would say to present well what are the benefits. And education, as I said, is priority for Bulgaria as well. And yeah, in a short, working with municipality and partners is a good experience, and we are thankful for this one. And actually, working with this specific municipality made us feel really, how to say, on the right track, because they're really responsive. Here, I would mention again Muzeico, because they share their knowledge. They're kind of the first one in Bulgaria having something similar, Muzeico in Sofia. So we are thankful that we were able to work with them, to contract them, and to work on the design. And I would say they also done an extra mile, because they put also their own energy, even outside of our arrangement. So yeah, it is. You need to have a good idea and to build on it.
Thank you very much. I think we don't have any more questions, and we are a little bit behind of time. So I'm going to close this panel for now. Thank you for the attention, and we're going to just need 1 minute to switch the moderators, and then we're going to start the second panel. Thank you all. Thank you.
hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
we hear you. We
indeed.
hear you. Maybe you can start the second panel. So
Yes, we are a little bit ahead of time, so we'll make it more concise. We're talking about the best employment practices in this panel. We have two participants. This is Mr. Nicolae Logofetov from Bulgaria Insurance, which is partnering with Csr International. In fact, this is the link and the secret with the British success story. And the other participant, he should be in studio with you, Georgi. This is Mr. Božidar Zakhariev from Cliff. And we'll start, yes, okay, good evening. So we will start with a brief presentation of the two success stories of your companies, and then we'll have time to discuss what are your practices, what are your tips and tricks for attracting and attaining talent. So I give the floor to Mr. Logofetov with a presentation for Bulgarian Insurance.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Your Excellency, Mrs. Deputy Minister, board members of BBVA, colleagues, friends. It's a pleasure to participate in such an event, especially in such a challenging time, and congratulations for the organization of this hybrid event, which is not easy, and it's really great opportunity for all of us. Concerning the company I represent, Bulgarian Insurance is among the leaders on the Bulgarian market, especially in health insurance. I will ask you for the next slide, please. Thanks. We are among the top 3 companies in health insurance with 22% market share and with more than 95,000 customers. The company is relatively young, a little bit more than 15 years, and it was specialized in the health insurance. But 7-8 years ago, it was transformed into a non-life or general insurance company due to some regulations, legal regulations. And since then, we are operating on the Bulgarian market, and we are offering almost all kinds of non-life insurance products in Bulgaria. Next slide, please. So our expertise is, of course, in the health insurance with more than 65% of our portfolio, but also we are offering household, property, travel, accident, health insurance products, so almost all kinds of insurances without automotive or car business, which is to be included into our portfolio within next year, hopefully. So we will grow also in this direction. We have outstanding healthcare service capacity and a network of more than 350 providers in the country. We are serving individual customers and SMEs and corporations by providing general insurance solutions tailored to customers' needs. And of course, we are trying to be more digital and more innovative in our approach to the clients and to the partners. And we have many digital solutions and services, especially in our days. This is something really important. We are offering already telemedicine. We are offering special consulting services, phone and online consulting to the customers and clients. We are offering also online claims fulfillment and relation to all our centers and sales points. So all kinds of different solutions. Next slide, please. Since 2016, we are sole representative of AXA PPP Healthcare and AXA ICAS International, which are part of the global AXA Group. And AXA Group is number one world insurance brand. This is really among the giants in the industry. It is our honor and privilege to be their exclusive partner in Bulgaria and to be the only company which offer their one of their best products, Health Without Borders. This is international healthcare solution, and we offer several different packages to we have only European package, we have worldwide package, including USA and Canada. And this is something really special, which is a product without competition on the market. So there are 2-3 companies who offer a similar product, but not in this range and in this capacity. The other product is Employee Assistance Program, which is also something new for the Bulgarian market. And we offer to big employers and to the employees especially a service of employee assistance, contributing to the health and performance of employees and organizations in all sectors of the economy. And all these services are professional with special psychiatrists, psychology centers, with financial consultants, and with other different types of consultants. And this, of course, the idea behind is to employees to be more effective and to be more motivated to continue their work. Next slide, please. And by this, I would like to finish with my presentation and to say that we are helping you protect the things that matter. This is one of our slogans. We have a new logo, new brand. We have new products in our portfolio, and we have a very reputable partner as AXA. So I believe we will be among the biggest players on the market, especially in the health insurance within next years. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Nikolai, for the very interesting presentation. I would like to give the floor now to Bojidar, who will make a short presentation of CLEAS.
most of the embassies in Sofia, expats from mid-level and high-level of management positions, both coming here in Sofia for long-term stays with us, but also coming for short-term stays only for a few days for, say, a business trip. Next slide, please. Over the next couple of slides, I will briefly share with you some of our buildings. This is one of our buildings, which is close to Doctor's Garden on Cherkovna Street. There we have over 20 fully serviced apartments. And as many of you know the area, it is quite accessible both to the airport for our frequent business travelers. Of course, this doesn't apply at the moment this much. But also very close to the center for all the entertainment, supermarkets, Doctor's Garden, parks, and all other necessary locations. We provide, as I mentioned, fully serviced apartments with high quality appliances, Wi-Fi, flat screen TVs with cable TV, Wi-Fi, security system, underground parking, and everything else that you need. As we joke with some of our clients, we provide anything and everything within the boundaries of the law. So sometimes we get asked for dentist, doctor, and of course we're there to provide those services. Next slide, please. Cherkovna Residence is another location that we have also close to Doctor's Garden in one of the premium locations in Sofia, and there we have 15 apartments, again, fully serviced and available for both long-term and short-term rentals. Next slide, please. The Cliffs Este residence is actually recognized as one of the best residences in town. We take pride in this location in the Istok neighborhood, close to many of the embassies, many existing office locations, parks like the Borisov Park. There we have over 30 serviced apartments, again available with all the services required for your stay. And in addition to this, there we have wonderful garden and spa and fitness amenities, of course with special discounts for our tenants. This is in brief about our company, and I'll be happy to share some of our successful practices.
Thank you very much, Božidar. Yeah, talking about successful practices, I'll be very interested to know, and I guess the audience is also like this, what are your secrets for attracting and retaining talent? How do you motivate your staff to work? You stated that you tend to provide all kinds of services that may be needed for your clients. So I guess there could be some work out of the regular working hours. So what do you do to keep your staff motivated and working well?
Thank you for the question. I would say nothing really specific. It's something, most of the things are ordinary things. We are trying, first of all, to be open, friendly, and really giving right feedback to our employees. Of course, this is a little bit of specific field and type of business, the insurance especially. We are more or less a close society, and usually we are looking for some people with experience, and we attract people with experience. So we are more or less 10 to 15 companies in Bulgaria, which we use to exchange employees or talents. Of course, we have some newcomers, people who were not related to the insurance business in the past, by offering a nice office atmosphere, nice trainings, opportunity to exchange experience with foreign company as AXA, for example, and good practices of AXA. And of course, giving some social bonuses. I think it's important in nowadays, but especially by mutual understanding and really friendly relationship to our employees. I think this is the most important thing, especially nowadays. Most of the employees are home office now. We have strict schedule and plan for working from a distance. And I believe with such understanding and with care for each other, we show our attention to the employees and our understanding of the right relationships.
And you work with many other employers because most of your clients are corporate.
Yes.
What is your impression during this time when health is is appreciated more and more? Is there a demand, higher demand for your services? Are there more employers that seek to ensure their employees and to provide good services for them?
Yes, I would say in both directions we have examples. In some fields, the things are not going very well, and it's normal that such companies or employers are trying to reduce the costs. But in other fields, the things are developing pretty well in such challenging and crisis times, and they are investing even more, especially in our new products and new coverages which we can offer to them. Like, as I mentioned briefly in the presentation, telemedicine, personal psychological consulting, opportunities for some additional services like vaccine or tests or special attention to their needs. And I believe this will have bigger impact in the future. Also, many employers are thinking more and more about additional health insurance for their employees, because this is really important in nowadays. I would say for the moment, 95% of our clients are corporate clients, but we are trying now to expand also in the individuals, and people are really interested, and I believe within next few years there will be big growth, especially in this segment of the insurance.
Yes, I'm sure your services will expand. Yeah, seeing what happens nowadays, we can appreciate the value of such services. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Božidar. What are your secrets? Could you share with us? First of all, maybe do you have difficulties in finding the right persons for the job, in attracting them, winning against the competition on the market, and what do you do to keep them working for you?
We haven't experienced issues finding the right personnel, and actually we are blessed to have the very best team that we can have. And the reason for that is because we are fully focused on our competitive advantage, which is building and maintaining and improving our client relationships. That means that in the past we outsourced most of the non-central activities, and we were able to fully focus on our sales efforts. For example, we outsourced the facilities management activities, we outsourced cleaning, security, administrative tasks, legal, accounting, and everything which was not related to our competitive advantage. So being fully focused on your competitive advantage and being fully focused on your sales efforts has allowed us to treat the employees that we have on the team with the due care and to empower them and to involve them in the important decisions for the company. We all know how important it is to motivate employees, and we do this in several ways. One of those is long before COVID hit us, for example, we were flexible with our workplace. We were flexible with our work schedules. There is no punching of cards in and out when you're coming to work or leaving work. We don't monitor how much time you spend on your laptop in the system. At the same time, we expect results, and to motivate our employees, in addition to the regular salary, we provide bonuses which are based on how well they do for the respective month, respective quarter and year. And also we empower the employees. I think we all recognize how important it is to think as a team rather than to have decisions dropped top down. And speaking of this, we don't have a strict hierarchy. Our organizational structure is pretty linear. So the way I can freely discuss what I need to discuss with the whole team, and we take decisions together. We discuss deals. We sometimes convince each other what deals we need to take, what deals we need to work harder on, and what deals we need to drop altogether. So I think one of the success tips is to involve your team, to empower your team, and to really focus on your core activities. Many small and medium enterprises make a mistake of trying to be the very best of everything. And in most cases, they fail because being with a similar size, a small or medium enterprise, you cannot be even mediocre in most of the activities. So count on your team, empower them, and focus on your core activities and your competitive advantage. And I'm sure that you'll be successful. And of course, when you have partners like the BBVA, this only helps.
Yeah, sure. We are very lucky to have a partner like BBVA that allows us to participate in such an excellent way, being at home, being in the studio, whatever is the preference. So thanks to BBVA again. Thanks to both Nicolae and Božidar. They shared their useful tips and secrets for their good personnel. Our experience in Deloitte, because we also work with many employers, is that yes, employers should be very, very innovative in how they handle the staff. I mean, the issues that may have with staff. First of all, recruiting the right staff. In some sectors, there is very tough competition, like information technology, for example, where the remuneration is quite high, and very often the people choose for other reasons. For example, they can choose with for an employer, a company with good CSR, or a more innovative company which relates us to the other topics that we have already discussed. So they're pressed to think of new strategies and to allow, as you said, Božidar, more flexible working time, even without COVID, more flexible working environment, office here, there, working hours. So this is really challenging situation, not only currently, but as a whole in Bulgaria, because unfortunately we are a small nation, and we have to do what we can to succeed. So I think we can go now to the final discussion that is scheduled as the last thing. Georgi, do we have some questions from the audience? Can you hear me, Georgi?
I hear you, Maggie.
Do we have some questions from the audience? I personally don't see such questions.
No, yeah, we don't have more questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for the panel. It is now time to wrap it up and to finish with the panels. So to conclude, I really think business is great. As we started, I mean, you've heard so many success stories from diverse British Bulgarian business partnership businesses, and this is only, I believe, a small part of what we have, and for sure there is room, I think, for next more events on this. And what is more important, we see that the future brings us even more opportunities for new great and success stories. So yeah, it's been amazing, all these stories, and thank you very much for the attention. Thank you. Want to thank all the participants in their roles, but special thanks to BBBA. It was really challenging, I can tell you, to have in the studio and the online and switching this hybrid format. But I think it was well done. And by this, I'm closing today's conference. Thank you all again, and see you on the next Business is Great event. I hope soon. Thank you.